Hello everybody, my name is Brandon Crane, Director of Partnerships here at Blockpoint Systems. Today I'm going to illustrate both the need for Blockpoint Systems' immutable database as well as some of its best features. So before we get into the product demo, I'd like to give a brief overview of the industry and the vulnerabilities with traditional databases. So companies are losing right now because they are vulnerable to data breaches. And without an immutable database, adversaries can come in and they can tamper with your data. And as you can see here, it's a big cost in the United States, more so than what most people usually think. It's kind of surprising with 9 million being the average cost, and it taking about 287 days on average to even notice that a breach has occurred. And so here are a few examples of some big losers when it comes to cyber attacks. And what I want to stress here is that no one is exempt from these attacks. JBS is the largest beef supplier in the United States, and so this is proof that anyone is vulnerable and everyone should have measures in place. So clearly there is a huge issue with data security in last generation traditional databases. Basically what we are seeing is an industry shift with the emergence of blockchain technology. Currently, cybersecurity tech focuses on keeping criminals out. And right there you can visualize a lock on a file cabinet. But immutability adds this additional layer to data security, not if, but when that lock on that file cabinet gets breached. So what I like to say is that Blockpoint ensures that your data, like your contracts or any other important document, is written in pen and not pencil. So the experts are noticing a need for blockchain level security as well, but historically speaking, it's been difficult and expensive to implement. And so what Blockpoint has done is we've integrated all the security benefits of blockchain technology with the price and the performance of last generation databases. And that concept is illustrated here. The diagram shows how Blockpoint's database integrates the security and transparency of blockchain technology with the price and the performance of traditional databases. And this is patented tech, and these solutions are built into the database. So there's no additional development needed. So one of Blockpoint's main goal has been to make immutability adoptable at the enterprise level. And to achieve this, our IP and technology centers around three core items. That's the database, MDB, which stands for multi-version database, the interfacing language, BSQL, which is very closely related to SQL language, and the development environment, MDB portal. That is where you go in and you can spin up a database and run your queries. So the key difference that separates Blockpoint Systems from other competitors out there like SQL Server, MongoDB, Postgres is the fact that our system stores companies' data immutably. And that key difference provides us with three key advantages that the other guys don't have. The first being security, which I already covered, right? Because if the data cannot be tampered with, it cannot be changed. And if it cannot be changed, it cannot be encrypted. And if it cannot be encrypted, it cannot be held for ransom. And then there's auditing. So since the data is stored immutably, that means you have access to all historical records. So you can go back and you can verify and validate that previous records have not been changed, not been tampered with. And it provides this historical record that is easily auditable in the case of regulation and compliance reasons. And then lastly, analytics. Since you have access to all those historical records of your data, you can go back and you can compare any 2 points in time. And this effectively makes snapshotting obsolete, which is the current way that companies have to run analytics. If they want to compare yesterday's database to today's, they need to have taken a screenshot or a snapshot of yesterday's database. And so what we've noticed is CEOs are beginning to ask themselves, why am I deleting this data if I don't know its value 5 years from now? And companies are starting to realize that data is one of their most important assets. And we've had some great successes with some of our customers. Willport Trust is using us to track all changes made to wills and trusts. And we've brought them security, transparency, and insight into the data. And as you can imagine, these three pillars are crucial in the financial industry and should be a foundation of any business that stores important data or just data alone. And another one of our customers, Bidcurement, is a digital government procurement platform for creating procurement contracts electronically. And so they are using Blockpoint's immutable database to build transparency and structure to digital procurement. And as a result of using our database, all bids can be tracked and they can be audited to verify fair competition among the contractors out there. So I've shown how there's an industry shift towards data security and the importance of keeping all your data for auditing and analytics purposes down the road. And so now I'm going to let Cassidy Mountjoy dive into some of these values that can be derived from all of these features.
Thanks for handing it off, Brandon. I'm Cassidy Mountjoy. I am the lead engineer here at Blockpoint Systems, and I'll be walking you through a more technical demonstration of the product. So this is actually my favorite slide. Blockpoint's database is SQL compliant, right? It has many of the same features as traditional systems like concurrency control and query optimization. So that makes it feel very familiar, but also it has the added benefits of being immutable. So instead of updating an existing record, the database actually appends a new version and changes the current state. So just like making an amendment to a document, these versions are both provable and accessible. I'm now going to walk you through an example use case. So imagine this, you have a product that is currently on the market and it allows people to give money in the form of a voucher. This product is an application. It's hosted in the cloud like many other applications, but you've chosen to run this product on the Blockpoint database. Here we got the database right here. And this diagram illustrates the flow of your application. So at DBA, they have credentials that he uses to interact with the database. And investment vouchers are stored and read from the database in order to disperse money to your customers. So bad news, your backend engineer actually clicked on a phishing email, which gave an adversary access to the root database credentials. So what does this mean? Well, in the next few slides, I'll be going over how Blockpoint helps protect your data at the database level. So with the stolen credentials, can the adversary modify existing data? No, right? There's no way to change a historical blockchain. The system is append only, and this vastly reduces the risk associated with stolen database credentials. So if I broke into a traditional system, I can start deleting values or tables or modifying data. So if you look at this clip here, a root user with a direct connection to your database fails to update your data. And this command fails because it violates immutability. So imagine that after some time in the system, the adversary runs a command that we flag. Let's say they run this command violates immutability. Okay, we flagged that as fraudulent, and we've realized that our database credentials have been leaked. So what are the next steps? The first thing that we do, and we want you to do, is to make sure the database files have not been compromised. So we can do this by running a check validity command. And this command instantly verifies that the data from those files hasn't changed. And this is something you cannot do in traditional systems. You can't verify that those files haven't been manually overridden. So this allows you to detect certain data breaches with the click of a button. So in our data breach, we check the files and we can see that the files are still valid because we got a nice green check mark. So now that we've confirmed that we can trust our database files, let's go and see what commands were actually run by this adversary. And audit trails in BSQL can't be changed by database users, even with root permissions. So there's a system log that keeps all the commands that were run, who ran them, and that log itself cannot be changed. So this means that there's no way for an adversary to cover their tracks. In this clip, we queried the database for all commands that append data and were run by the stolen credentials. And we can see that the adversary appended a voucher in the blockchain, the voucher blockchain. So there's a little command here, appended the voucher. So that's not a good sign. We know that the stolen credentials were used to append a voucher. So let's go ahead and hop in and let's see what they've changed. So we can query from the voucher blockchain just like we would query from a normal table. But in this case, there are special commands and SQL keywords that we use to search for the record history. And by querying the voucher blockchain for the record history, we can see that the adversary changed the beneficiary of a voucher. So they changed who that money was gifted to. So let's go ahead and hop in and let's go see what the new recipient of this voucher was. So this is all about finding the culprit. So now that we know the ID of that new, of the user who was changed to receive that voucher, to receive that money, to steal from your company and your clients, we can go ahead and find who that account's linked to. And it turns out it's actually someone in our organization. And this is very common. So it's more common than not, right? Turns out 60%. So the majority of data breaches are caused by insider threats. So in conclusion, immutable data is super helpful in deterring, preventing, and detecting data breaches. It is really key that this is inside, or this is inside of a database management system, because there are a lot of changes that can be made to databases that go unchecked, especially with the root user in this account. So if you take this in context of you using a more traditional system, a mutable database, they would have been able to do a lot more damage, and most of all, they would have been able to got away with it. And that would encourage more people to do this. So that is how we respond to data breaches and help prevent data breaches at Blockpoint.
Thank you, everybody, for watching today. Please reach out with any questions. We'd love to discuss the potential for setting up a POC, and we'd love to show you how Blockpoint can help you secure and get the most out of your data. Thank you.